amplitude, realistically, will die in any natural system here. It will decrease where your object will eventually come to rest. Now, like we said with the pendulum at the Clark Planetarium or at UVU or BYU, they have a motor up there that forces it to keep going. Okay, they don't just go and pull it to the side and it goes all day long. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Its amplitude would decrease with time because there's too much drag. Those balls are huge, so drag is more significant, and there's going to be some significant friction between the cable and where it's anchored. So the amplitude will die if all you do is pull it to the side and let it go. But you can maintain its amplitude if you force it to oscillate. So if you push on it and give it a push at just the right time. Great example. If you ever pushed a kid on a swing. On a spring. Yeah, that could be fun too. Put a kid on a spring. Push. So you pull the kid back, you let go. If you were to do nothing else and the kid doesn't know how to pump, then their amplitude would die down and they would eventually come to rest. They're basically a pendulum. But you can force the kid to oscillate and make them maintain their amplitude, if not increase it. Now, you can do a couple of things. You can come up behind the kid and just start pushing really fast and annoy the crap out of them because they start wiggling and they get really mad. But you're forcing them to oscillate. They're oscillating. They're not very happy with the way they're oscillating, but they are oscillating. But to make the kid happy, you pull them back, you let them go, you wait until they swing down and swing back, and as they start to move away from you again, you push. So what you're doing is you're matching the rate at which you're pushing on them to the natural frequency that they're swinging at. That omega naught, the square root of G over L, that's their natural frequency. If you apply a force at that same rate, you're forcing them to oscillate, but you're also making their amplitude bigger. You make them swing higher and higher and higher. Turns out, whenever you force an object to oscillate at its natural frequency, the amplitude gets large. And you can get what's called resonance. So I have here mass on a spring. It has a natural frequency it wants to oscillate at. Now there's friction between this bar and the side, so it eventually comes to rest. It doesn't take too long. But this is attached to a wheel. And so as the wheel will turn, it's going to make the string go up and down. The string going up and down is going to make the spring go up and down, which is going to force this mass to oscillate. Turns out the natural frequency this wants to oscillate at, according to the display, is around 2 Hertz. Right now, the wheel is rotating at 2.36 Hertz. So this string is in turn forcing this mass spring system to oscillate at 2.36 Hertz. So this is called a forced oscillation. You're forcing it to oscillate. There's forces applied that makes it oscillate. Now there's nothing terribly exciting about its motion. It's oscillating just fine. But if I change the frequency, like I said, the natural frequency is around 2. So I'm going to get closer and closer to 2. Notice the amplitude starts to get bigger and bigger the closer I get to 2. If you force an object to oscillate at its natural frequency, the amplitude of its motion will get very large. This is called resonance. You ever seen the they usually simulate it. But the wine glass, if you sing with a nice, beautiful, pure tone, you can shatter a wine glass. That's because the wine glass has a natural frequency. The molecules within the wine glass vibrate at a natural frequency. If you can match that natural frequency, you can make them vibrate with a large amplitude. If the amplitude gets large enough, the binding forces between the atoms aren't strong enough to hold the atoms together anymore. They get torn apart. It breaks the wine glass. Okay. Resonance is how our microwave ovens work. The frequency of the microwaves happens to match the frequency of a water molecule. Water molecule likes to bend. Since the frequency of the microwave matches the natural frequency of the water molecule, it makes water molecules vibrate just out of control with really large amplitudes. That's what warms your food up, is the vibration of those water molecules. Okay. If I bypass the two, oh sorry, I'm going the wrong way, and I go lower, the amplitude will get smaller again. The only place the amplitude is really big is if we exactly match the two. It doesn't get big again if we are multiples of 2, say 4 or 6. This doesn't sound very happy going fast. Still vibrates. Barely vibrating. The amplitude is incredibly small. So the only time the amplitude will be large if you're forcing something to oscillate is if you match the natural frequency.
What was it you called it again when it gets into its natural frequency?
Resonance.
Resonance.
So, resonance. Musical instruments operate on resonance. Resonance can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. You don't want to go shattering all the wine glasses around. Although you really have to be able to sing with a very pure tone and really loud in order to actually do that. I don't know that it realistically could be done without some sort of microphone to make it louder.
Yeah, you've got some dudes that can do it.
Really? Singing into a microphone?
No.
Really?
Natural.
Interesting. Cool. The ones I've seen are always singing into a microphone, so it makes it louder. So resonance. Resonance can be a good thing. In case of musical instruments, they work great. Resonance can be a bad thing. If the amplitude gets so large that the material itself is not strong enough to withstand the forces, you're going to ruin the object, break the wine glass. I'm going to show you the clip from the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Some of you may have seen it before. Very cool. But resonance, yes. All resonance is a forced oscillation. Forcing an object to oscillate at its natural frequency.